Hello, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Archer Talk 101. What we're going to learn today is your mindset when you're shooting a bow. What do you need to have? Now, a little bit about mindset. Um, it's what you're going to be thinking about. You're asking the universe to give you. Just an experiment here. Let's do something here to show you how mindset can affect what you're thinking about. First, I don't want you to think about the American flag. Now, I said, don't think about the American flag. And once again, don't think about the American flag. Now, what are you thinking about? The American flag, right? Because that's what was put into your mind. And the same thing is true when whatever you're thinking about is what you're going to get. Um, Now let's equate that to archery. Before you get started with your process, just picture in your mind the arrow hitting the dead center of the X-ray. And just focus that in your mind and think of nothing else but the arrow there. You can vision your arrow hitting in the center. Now you keep that thought in mind. Now you're going to start your draw process and keep that image in your mind as you're going through your shooting. Now let's go into how you should be relaxed, how stress, concentration, focus, and follow through and eliminating distractions can affect your shooting. So let's start with the relax. First off, you need to be relaxed in order to shoot. Archery sport where you're more relaxed, the better you're going to shoot. When your muscles are tense, it makes it harder to relax and let the body work in a consistent way. Just as an example here, let's take and everybody hold your arm kind of out in front of you. And then with nice relaxed hand, move it in and out. You can move it in and out really fast. There's no strain or nothing on it. Now then it's make a fist, make a really tight fist, as tight as you can make it. Now, you'll notice that you're going to tighten up in your arm muscles, your forearm's going to tight, your biceps going to tight. And now try to move that hand. You see how much restriction you have in that? So that's what tension in your muscles are going to do. It's going to make it harder. So if you're tense, trying to draw your bow back, you're going to make your muscles work much harder. So now let's get into a little bit talking about stress and what it can do to your body. Research has shown all kinds of different things, but when your body's under stress, whether it's physical, mental, or psychological, stress affects each body a little bit differently. When you're under stress, not only will you have a tension in your body, which we just showed example, what that can do when you're under stress, going to be tense, tighten up your muscles. Just like the example we just showed, where if you're tense, your body is all tight. You feel a lot of it in your shoulders too, and that's a big thing in archery is them shoulders. Now, you want to make sure that is gone because that's going to cause lots of problems. If you're shooting sometimes when you're under stress, it's kind of a problem. You want to shoot a bow, you must be relaxed in order to do it so you can focus on your target. As you're preparing for your draw, to draw your bow, you start thinking about your shot process, getting your hand in position. Now, this is what you're going to do is if you can get rid of the stress and relax, you're going to start with the correct hand position, where the bow goes through and it meets, in that little spot between your thumb and forefinger. You're going to get that hand position. You're going to start through everything, and you're going to start going through your arm. You're going to point it to your target before you start drawing, and then you're going to start your draw. You're going to find your anchor point, whether it's just with your knuckle behind the ear, or you got a kisser button, or your nose, tip of your nose, or a peep. Whatever you're using, the more points, the better off you're going to have, a little better, more consistent anchor point. Now then, you're going to start your focus. Once you're at full draw, your focus and concentration are on the target. You're going to put the pin over the target and start your release process. When you're thinking about all this, nothing else gets any attention. If your main focus is on what you're doing and shooting, nothing else gets your attention, and you just focus on that one thing. Now, when you're shooting and shoot a couple rounds and still don't feel relaxed, stop shooting. Now, if you continue to shoot, you can develop bad habits. It could lead to more stress because now you're not hitting your targets. You know you should be hitting your targets. You normally do, and so that adds to your stress. And it just you know, you just take a break, try it again later, whether it's later that day, a few hours later, or a different day. I remember one time I was in the Archer Club and had 24 access to the range. After the kids went to bed, I headed down to the range, looking forward to shooting. I got there, shot my 5 arrows, you know, wasn't feeling it for some reason. It just wasn't, you know, wasn't into it. So after I shot the first set of 5 arrows, I started shooting another 5 arrows and still didn't feel it. So I quit shooting because I knew if I keep shooting, I get, you know, bad habits. So I just went back home. You know, the next time I went, I was into it, feeling really good. So if you don't feel good about shooting, something's wrong. Your mind's just not into it. You need to sit back. You need to try and relax, get into it, or, you know, continue a different day. You know, don't feel bad if you go down and shoot and you're not feeling it, and go do something different. Sometimes just getting your mind off something different is help. Now, let's talk about concentration. You know, what is concentration? Well, it's a direct attention to a single object. You're going to concentrate on one object. And how that applies to archery is when you're at full draw, you have the target in sight, and you place your pin over the target. You're going to concentrate only on the target, not on a pin. You're going to do one single object, focus on the target. If you concentrate on the pin, you're going to see it moving a lot more. You're focusing on the pin. You're not aiming where you want the arrow to go. Wherever the pin happens to be pointing is where your arrow is going to go. So you want to concentrate on the target, and don't worry about it's going to move. It's not in a shooting jig, so it's going to move. And just don't worry about it moving. It'll stay where you want it to go. And then just concentrate on the target, and don't worry about what's doing with the pins. You're just going to put them over it. You know, it's hard to focus distance on the target, as well as have your pins in focus anyway. And as we get older, it gets harder to focus on that close pin when you're looking at a, you know, far target. So now let's go on to focus. You know, what you're going to focus on while you're shooting. That will depend on what part of the draw cycle you're in. As you go through your process, your focus on your hand position is where you're going to start. And then on your form, you start your draw. Then your focus will shift to your release hand and getting to your anchor points. At that point, you will start to focus again on the target. And then you will start your release technique and continue to focus on your target until this string is released. Then you're still not done yet with your focus. You still need to continue focusing on the target. That's the next subject here is a follow through, and that's where your follow through comes through. You're going to keep that focus on the target all the way through the shot process. One thing I've learned from watching new shooters is they want to see where the arrow went, and will try to watch the arrow in flight to the target to see how it's flying. Now, the time it takes for the arrow to leave your bow and hit the target is much faster than you can react. So what you end up having to do is you start looking before you actually shoot. Now, just kind of get this across and as an example here. Let's say you have someone pointing a bow at you at full draw. Now, this is something you should never do. You know, this is just to get the point across. And all you have to do is move when the arrow is shot. You'll have time to move. You know, will you have time to move before the arrow gets to you? And I don't think so. There's not many that can react that fast. By the time they see the arrow release and be able to react to it, it's going to be to them. Unless you're, you know, 100 yards away or something like that, then you might be able to. But you know, at any normal range that you're going to be shooting, you know, an indoor, you know, 20 yards or something like that, you're not going to be able to react to it. So, you know, that's why would you think that when you shoot the arrow, you're going to be able to watch it in flight. You're going to concentrate on the target. And unless you got a really crazy arrow flight, something really wrong, and you catch it under your as you're looking at your target, you catch it going. But normally, if that arrow is flying good, you're not going to see it because it's flying straight away from you, and you'll be looking at the back of the arrow. Now, here's what a correct follow through would be. Once your releases happen, you still keep aiming at the target. Your focus is on the target. This way, you don't take a chance of affecting the arrow flight. Now, we're going to cover a little bit of eliminating distractions. Now, you would think you'd want to eliminate all distractions. The problem run into that is people, like people or kids playing outside making noises. You actually don't want to eliminate the distraction. You just want to learn how to block them out. By focusing and concentrating on your shooting and your shot process, you'll naturally block them out because your focus and attention and concentration is on what you're doing and not what's in the background. Now, this sounds easy, but you can learn how to do this. Now, you can't just ignore all sounds. You still have to be aware of somebody around you, but you don't need to be aware until they start getting close to the shooting line. You want to be careful. You watch for, people that's playing around behind you, and all of a sudden they start, especially with kids, they start running out in front of you. You need to be aware of that so you can stop your shot if you do see a problem. So here's a conclusion. Archery is a mental game when you let outside influences affect your shooting. It could be an outside influence thinking about your last shot and how good or bad it was. This is part, it's not really that difficult to let it bother you. And that's the thing you need to do is just eliminate it from your mind. Focus on what you're doing. That helps you not worry about, your last shot was good or bad. Don't think about it because it's already passed. You can't affect that. You're only going to affect it when you're shooting now. Now, thinking about what you need to score is an outside influence. You have to hit the X ring, or maybe you need to get an 8 or better to win. In this case, you put the thought of the 8 ring into your mind, and you want to keep that out. So don't worry about the last shot. You can't change it. The only shot that counts is the one that you're doing right now. Now, I record these podcasts in a video format as well, and you can watch the video and get archery tips and advice by joining the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. I'll put a link in the description down below for that group if you want to get more information about that. So once again, this has been Roy Canterbury on Archery Talk 101.